The Pilgrims and the Mayflower. Join us on a remarkable journey back to the year 1620, a year that would forever change the course of history. This is the story of the Mayflower, a ship that set sail from England, carrying a group of brave souls in search of freedom and a new life. Our tale begins in England, where a group of Puritans, disillusioned with the Church of England, sought a place where they could worship freely. These separatists, known as the Pilgrims, were part of a movement in Scrooby, Nottinghamshire, and faced persecution for their beliefs. Among the passengers were several individuals whose stories stand out. William Bradford was one of the leaders of the Pilgrims. Raised in a Puritan community, he faced persecution after his family was imprisoned for their beliefs. Seeking a place where he could practice his faith without fear, Bradford became determined to join the separatist movement. He not only helped organize the journey, but would later also serve as the first governor of the Plymouth colony, steering the community through its formative years. Another notable passenger was John Carver, the first governor of the Plymouth colony. Carver's commitment to the Pilgrims' cause was significant. Like many, he was motivated by the desire for religious freedom. He faced immense challenges during the voyage and was instrumental in negotiating with the local Native American tribes for the land on which they would settle. Unfortunately, the harsh winter took a toll on Carver, and he died during the first year of settlement. Perhaps less famous but equally important was Edward Winthrop, a carpet-maker who left England to escape the political and religious turmoil. He and his family faced a harsh decision: leave their home and risk everything for the promise of a new life. Winthrop would later become a vital member of the colony and work tirelessly to help establish its rule of law. In 1620, after much planning and preparation, the Pilgrims boarded the Mayflower, a ship of about 100 feet in length. Commanded by Captain Christopher Jones, the ship carried 102 passengers. The journey was perilous. The Mayflower faced rough seas and fierce storms, testing the passengers' resolve. Over the course of 66 days, they endured cramped quarters and limited provisions, battling seasickness and fear of the unknown. Life aboard was far from comfortable. Families were crammed into the ship's hold, making daily life a struggle. Many fell ill due to the conditions. The old and frail struggled to survive, while adults were left to care for their children in cramped and unsanitary conditions. The ship faced numerous challenges, including half rations of food, which often left the passengers weak and malnourished. Despite these hardships, they found solace in their faith and camaraderie. Finally, on November 9, 1620, the Mayflower anchored off the coast of what is now Cape Cod, Massachusetts. Although they initially aimed for Virginia, they chose to settle at a site they named Plymouth after exploring the coastal area. They soon realized the land was uncharted and would pose new challenges. As the Pilgrims settled in Plymouth, they faced the daunting task of creating a sustainable community in a harsh and unfamiliar environment. The first order of business was building shelters to protect themselves from the brutal winter that lay ahead. Initially, they constructed crude homes using wood and thatch. These simple one-room structures provided minimal protection, and the Pilgrims had to rely on ingenuity and cooperation to survive. Food scarcity was a significant challenge. Many had arrived ill-prepared for the winter, which led to severe shortages. With scant provisions left from their journey, the Pilgrims resorted to foraging and hunting. Men went out to fish and hunt, while the women often took charge of foraging for whatever wild edibles they could find. The harsh reality of survival strained relationships within the community, as families mourned lost loved ones and struggled to maintain their spirits under the burden of hardship. Then, in a turn of fate, the Pilgrims encountered the local Native American tribes. The most significant among them were the Wampanoag people, who had lived on these lands for thousands of years. Initially, the Pilgrims were met with suspicion and caution. Understandably, the Native Americans were wary of these newcomers who had encroached on their territory. Enter Squanto, a member of the Patuxet tribe, who would become a critical figure in this new relationship. After being captured and taken to Europe years earlier, Squanto had learned English and even adopted aspects of European culture. He returned to his homeland after a long absence, only to find his tribe decimated by disease brought by earlier European settlers. Recognizing the plight of the Pilgrims and their need for survival, Squanto stepped in to help bridge the cultural divide. Squanto taught the Pilgrims essential survival skills, including how to grow corn, beans, and squash, crops known as the Three Sisters that thrived together in the soil. He also showed them how to fish in the rivers and utilize local resources. This knowledge was pivotal for the settlers, transforming their experience in the New World. Recognizing the potential for mutual benefit, the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag eventually established a more formal alliance. In March 1621, a peace treaty was signed between the two groups. This alliance was crucial for both parties. The Pilgrims received support from the Wampanoag in terms of food and resources, while the Wampanoag gained allies against rival tribes in the region. The first Thanksgiving in the fall of 1621 was a monumental event, characterized by shared gratitude for the harvest and the support each group provided to the other. This three-day celebration was not just a feast, but a symbol of collaboration, with both the Pilgrims and around 90 Wampanoag joining together in a spirit of fellowship. However, the relationship between the Pilgrims and the Native Americans would evolve over the years, often fraught with tension. As more settlers arrived, the demand for land grew. The Pilgrims and later immigrants began to encroach on Wampanoag territory, leading to misunderstandings and conflicts, different cultural perspectives regarding land use, where the Wampanoag viewed land as communal, and the settlers increasingly took an ownership approach, added to the growing tensions. Despite these challenges, the Pilgrims laid the foundations for a new society, one that would become increasingly diverse as more settlers arrived. They established a framework for self-governance, held town meetings, and even created laws to ensure order in their new home. The Pilgrims made strides in agriculture, education, and faith, ultimately giving rise to a legacy of democracy and community that would define America. Today, we honor the legacy of the Mayflower and its passengers, recognizing the complexities of their journey and their interactions with the Native Americans. The Pilgrims left behind a story of resilience, cooperation, and cultural exchange, reminding us of the importance of understanding and respecting one another's histories. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. The stories of the Pilgrims and the Native Americans are woven into the fabric of American history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more captivating stories from history.